Okay, I call to order the Upper Moreland Township regular meeting for January, we can start, right, Pat? Or should I wait for it? Thanks, for January 6, 2025. Please join me in a moment of silent meditation. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pat, could you please do a roll call?
Ward 1? Present. Ward 2?
Present.
Ward 3? Ward 4? Present. Ward 5? Ward 6?
Here.
Ward 7?
Here.
Commissioner, 5 commissioners are present tonight. The exception being Commissioner Whiting is on via Zoom, and Commissioner McFatridge is not in attendance this evening.
Thank you. Okay, first on the agenda is a presentation, a retirement proclamation for Vicki Sykes upon her retirement as the Executive Administrative Assistant to the Township Manager on December 27th, 2024. Whereas Vicki Sykes was hired as the Executive Assistant to the Township Manager on December 12th, 2016, a position she has held since, and whereas Vicki advanced the manager's office and township efforts by providing knowledge and municipal policies, procedures, and operations, general office procedures, and advanced administrative and communication skills. And whereas Vicki, during Vicki's tenure, 3 managers have held the township manager title. And whereas Vicki provided effective executive assistant duties to maintain the office of manager for Upper Moreland Township and the Board of Commissioners. And whereas through these and other efforts, our residents, businesses, civic organizations, boards, commissions, advisory committees, and visitors enjoyed all the township has to offer. Now therefore be it proclaimed that Vicki Sykes faithfully served the residents and citizens of Upper Moreland Township for more than 8 years and honorably retired on December 27th, 2024.
Just a comment, Commissioner, if I may. Vicki has purchased a home and moved to the Myrtle Beach area in South Carolina. Vicki was instrumental in assisting me through my first several months and up until she left 2 weeks ago. Without her assistance and her knowledge and organizational skills, it would have been a very difficult transition. So I thank Vicki for all of her years of service, and in particular, her last 7 or 8 months that she spent with me.
Nice, yes, I thank Vicki. She was very helpful to me also, and she was an integral part of the transition for quite a few township managers. She was professional, dedicated, very friendly, and we hope she's enjoying Myrtle Beach. You said it was? I knew it was South Carolina. Awesome. Next on the agenda, we have a presentation by the Montgomery County Planning Commission. Brian Olsak. Hi, Brian.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Delicious.
So that was on, oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for having us here today. I'm Brian Olzak. I'm the Principal Trails and Open Space Planner with the Montgomery County Planning Commission. I'm here tonight with Chris Stanford, who is with Michael Baker International. He is a senior project manager and engineer who is our primary designer on this project, and we're here to just give you a quick update about the cross-county trail, what we're calling the eastern section, and it's called Section C. And we're actually doing this simultaneously with Bryn Athen, who has their borough council meeting the same night that you do. So my colleague, Bill Hartman, is presenting to them, and it's just essentially giving both of your boards an update on the process of this trail and its significance to the region. So first, I wanted to orient you a bit. We first we're in front of you regarding this trail a couple of years ago, actually. It was also myself at that time. We had just completed, or were completing, a feasibility study for what we were calling a cross-county trail east, which was the easternmost 6 miles of this trail, which you can see sort of highlighted in the red towards the middle of the page. So this is a map of our countywide trail network, or what our proposed countywide trail network. It's trails that the county will own and maintain, or currently does, trails that are owned and maintained by municipalities, and some other trails that may be maintained by nonprofits and the like. But it's really sort of what we consider our county highway system for trails. And the Cross County Trail is a very significant component of that trail, or of that trail system. It's a 17-mile-long trail at its completion, starting in Conshohocken Borough, so it would be number 3 on your map there. And it will go, again, through the center part of the county there, and then, of course, terminating in Upper Moreland and Bryn Athyn, right where our Pennypack Trail is, which is another trail that is a part of our county highway system for trails. So actually, we're finding that let me just pull these all up for you. There's actually a lot of activity for the Cross County Trail concerning how we are designing and developing the trail. So up until recently, the trail only existed on a less than 3-mile-long segment from Conshohocken to Plymouth Township and terminating at Germantown Pike there in Chemical Road. But recently, we've been getting a lot of planning and design funding in order to finally build out this trail all the way to Bryn Athyn and Upper Moreland here. So the first 3 trail segments up there that you see were a part of that Cross County Trail East feasibility study that we came in front of this board a couple years ago now to discuss. Section C is the one that we are discussing tonight. That is actively in design right now. Sections A and B, which start at the Promenade in Upper Dublin, goes to Easton Road at the Turnpike. That's Section A, and Section B goes from there to the YMCA. And both of those, we're actually selecting designers now for those projects. And for a couple other segments, we are also choosing design consultants. One segment in Fort Washington area, and at the Germantown Pike to Joshua Road segment at the very bottom there, we already have a designer on. It's Bull Smythe Associates who is designing that trail. And so basically all parts of this trail are in some stage of development now. So, and we'll talk a little bit about the timeline for all of that. But again, tonight, we're here to discuss this about 2-mile-long segment here, which starts at the YMCA, the Willow Grove YMCA, and eventually makes its way again all the way to the Pennypack Trail towards the right-hand part of your screen. As I mentioned, it goes through both township and borough, so it's a bit complex in that regard. It starts in Upper Moreland, goes to Bryn Athyn, comes back into Upper Moreland, and then goes back into Bryn Athyn. And so now I'm going to hand it off to our primary designer, Chris Stanford, to discuss the design elements.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you again for having us tonight. So I'll be walking through the project alignment from the Y all the way over to the east to the existing Pennypack Trail. Just sort of give you the highlights of the project and sort of the key features. It will be a 10-foot wide paved trail for walking and biking when it's fully constructed. One of the elements that we're working on now is trailhead parking. So we're coordinating with YMCA to share some parking with them. There's about 20 spots farthest away from the building that don't get a lot of use, and we're coordinating with them to put up some signage to share some parking there so trail users can use that part of the parking lot once the trail is built out. We'll also be using some of their trail network to start the project, and then some of their property to get out to Davisville Road. And they have quite a bit of work on Davisville Road to get through this portion of the project. We're going to be doing some signal upgrades at the YMCA signal, building a new trail along Davisville Road, and then we're actually putting in a concrete jersey barrier on the existing bridge over Davisville Road over the Pennypack Creek. So we'll just go through that in a little bit of detail because it is probably the biggest part of the project that the public will probably be affected by. So again, on the right-hand side, we have the YMCA driveway. There's actually a box culvert underneath Davisville Road, sort of at the center of the screen, a large concrete box that carries overflow in flood events from the Pennypack Creek underneath the roadway, and then the existing bridge over the creek there on the left. So as I mentioned, we'll be putting a new structure-mounted barrier on the Davisville Road Bridge over the creek. And because of that, we're going to have to shift the lanes over a little bit, and that's going to affect the turn lane for the YMCA. But just in a small way, it will be reduced from 120 feet long to 105 feet long, so just 15 feet, which is less than a car length. We've been working with them to go through the operations of that signal and make sure that the Y was on board with that change. And we met with them, and they're supportive of the project, and they understand that this will have little or no impact on their operations for the signal. So they've given us concurrence to make that small change. We've also been coordinating with PennDOT on making some safety upgrades at that signal, including a leading pedestrian interval, which is basically giving pedestrians, when they use the crosswalk, a 4-second head start. So all the cars will just be at all red, and then the pedestrians will be the only ones going for 4 seconds before anything else will happen with that signal. So it's a safety upgrade for pedestrians. We'll have to do some upgrades to the pedestrian push buttons and the ADA ramps there. And we may be moving the signal controller cabinet to accommodate the trail and the wider width of the trail through that signal. On the south side, we're actually doing an extension of that box culvert to allow the trail to go over top of it on the south side of Davisville Road. And as I mentioned, again, we're doing the structure-mounted barrier on the bridge. So we have a lot of coordination with PennDOT right now. We're going through reviews with them for a highway occupancy permit to cover all this work. Again, as you may know, this is what the existing bridge looks like. There's shoulders and there's extra width on that bridge, so we're going to rearrange that space to make the new bridge look something like this. So on the left-hand side, we'll be adding a concrete jersey barrier to create a safe 10-foot wide space for the walkers and bikers to use as part of the trail network. And then we'll be shifting the travel lanes over. We'll still be providing 2 12-foot travel lanes, and then there'll be 2.5-foot shoulders on each side of the roadway for the traveling public. We also have looked at the traffic control, and we're confident that we can build the project as well and keep 2 lanes of traffic open at all times for traffic on Davisville Road. So moving on from Davisville towards Pennypack Road, there are a few private properties that the county is going to be working with to acquire trail easements, CSI Church, and also a handful of residential easements likely be required along the backside of their properties near the creek. But then we'll be making our way over to Pennypack Road, which is a township road, and we'll be using the last, it's a dead-end street, as you probably know. It dead ends at the existing Pert Trail. We will be sharing the existing road about the last 800 feet, so trail users will be walking and biking in the existing roadway down in that area. I'll have a little more detail on that on the next slide. There is an informal parking area down there by the trail right now. And working with PERT and the county, we've discussed this, and we think that the best use of that space is to just accommodate ADA parking only, since we're providing parking at the Y, and there's also existing parking on the Pennypack Trail at Byberry Road and some other locations. And lastly, just as you may know, the Pennypack Ecological Trust is heavily involved with this project, and they're on our steering committee at virtually every meeting that we have with them. So they're working hand in hand with us and the county on this design. As I mentioned, Pennypack Road, we're going to have this shared road concept for the last several hundred feet. We're going to be using our shared lane markings, or sharrows. You may have seen these pavement markings with the bike with the double arrow, just to let motorists know that it's a shared road situation. And then we're also going to be using, bikes may use full lane signage and other warning signage to indicate that it's a shared road situation for this last part of Pennypack Road. Moving on along the existing Pert Trail. So the idea is that you may be familiar with the existing Pert Trail. It's a crushed stone or footpath or natural surface footpath throughout the ecological trust. We'll actually be upgrading that existing trail to be at least a 10-foot wide paved trail. So that way it can accommodate, it can be ADA compliant and also can accommodate walkers and bicyclists as part of the larger county trail network. One of the major safety improvements we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing a rectangular rapid flashing beacon signal at the crossing of the trail at Masons Mill Road. I'll talk about that a little bit more. Next slide. We're also going to be looking at, we're moving forward with a relocation of about 1,000 feet of the existing trail. There's a portion of the trail that PERTS tells us they have significant issues with flood damage on a regular basis. And as storms get worse and worse over time, they're getting more and more damage for this portion of the trail where it's very close to the creek. So they suggested that we actually move the trail away from the creek about 50 feet uphill away from the creek so it would minimize flood damage on the trail in the future. So we're working with them on that trail relocation. And then as it gets down onto the Lord's New Church property, it'll basically join up with the existing trail location. And one of the other major improvements we're doing this project is a rehabilitation of the stone masonry arch bridge on Creek Road. And I'll touch on that here in a minute as well. So back to Masons Mill Road. If you're familiar with this area, this is basically what it looks like in the existing condition. Not really formalized crossing. There's not a lot of warning signage and safety improvements for this crossing. And there's sort of an unofficial parking area here on the left that's sort of developed over the years. This is an artistic rendering of what it will look like when we're done. So we're installing the overhead mast arm for a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, and it will actually have thermal detection cameras included with that. So it will actually detect trail users, and they won't even have to push a button for it to be activated. It'll be dark when trail users are not there, but it will be activated when trail users approach the crossing. This is similar to Turwood Road, if you're familiar with Turwood Road on the Pennypack Trail. This signal actually is going to be owned and operated by Branath and Borough. It's right on the border between your municipality and theirs, but the way PennDOT works is wherever the signal cabinet is located, that's the municipality that owns and operates it. So in this case, Branath will be owning and operating this, and they've already signed off on that as well. Some other improvements we're doing here, as I mentioned, there's sort of this unofficial parking area. Talking with township staff and the county staff and Branath, and we've come to the conclusion that we don't want to think it's a safe situation for people to be backing in and out on an active roadway like this, especially with the bridge, which has a little bit of a humpback situation with it. So that little parking area will be removed and replanted to prevent people from parking there in the future. We will be installing some additional warning signage on the north side of the bridge, again, to deal with that little crest curve for the bridge. So, they'll be warned of the trail crossing, and the overhead mast arm with the flashing beacons will also make that visible as well to people coming from that direction. We also be installing some more controls here as far as fencing and half gates and other landscaping to control access, basically to deter unauthorized vehicles from using the trail. Often you see ATVs and the motorized vehicles that really are not supposed to be on the trail. So we'll be adding some of those safety improvements as well at this crossing. Moving on to the Creek Road Bridge. This bridge is sort of part of the existing trail network right now. It's actually over 100 years old. It's a one-span stone masonry arch bridge over the Pennypack Creek. And this is what it looks like today. It does have some structural concerns, and we'll be rehabilitating it as part of this project. And this is a recent rehabilitation that we did on a similar bridge with Montgomery County in Perkiomen Township over by Green Lane Park. It's part of the Perkiomen Trail. It's actually the Perkiomen Trail over the Perkiomen Creek, and it's also known as Montgomery County Bridge 99. So we did a full rehabilitation, basically took down every rock and basically rebuilt the bridge from scratch, and repointed it, remasoned all the stones back together, and added a railing system to make it safe for modern trail users. So we'll be doing something along these lines with that Creek Road Bridge. So that's sort of the overview of the project improvements. So this is sort of where we are in the schedule and the next steps. As I mentioned, we'll be doing some signal upgrades there at Davisville Road. So we'll be coordinating with the township to get those approved and signed off on here in the near future, as well as working with the borough on the approval of the RRFB. We're moving forward with coordination again with PennDOT to finalize the HOP plans and finalize the rest of the trail plans, as well as our permit submission to the Department of Environmental Protection for the permits that are involved, the environmental permits involved with this project. One important thing to note, we're actually having an open house plans display for this project on February 13th, right, Brian? And it's going to be at the YMCA. So we'll have all the plans available, images of the project, a lot of the same information, so the general public can see what the improvements are going to be, and we can get their feedback and try to address any concerns they have about the project.
Do you have an exact date for that yet?
February 13th.
Did you? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, probably 6:30 to 8 timeframe, rough there, but we'll share the information with the township, and hopefully they can post it and share it with their residents. We'll nail that on the time. We're working with the Y on that, but it'll be in the evening. So right now, as Brian mentioned, we're in final design. We're hoping to wrap that up this year. We're working with the county on the easement plans that are required for the project. And hopefully those easements easement acquisition will be done by the county transportation authority, and that'll happen between spring and fall of '25. And we're hoping to acquire all the PennDOT and DEP permits by the summer of '25. And if all goes well, we'll be putting the project out to bid later in end of '25 and hopefully starting construction in '26. If all goes well, we have good weather and everything else goes as planned, we're hoping to finish by end of '26 or early '27. So if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Okay, thank you for going through all that. There's lots of us that are really excited about this trail.
Great.
I guess one thing I was curious, how do you decide to do paved versus gravel? Because the Pennypack Trail is all gravel, right? I was just curious.
I mean, Brian, do you want to take that one, or do you want?
Sure.
We can tag team maybe.
So typically, when we design, it usually is according to the certain environmental features of the area. So the Pennypack Trail it made sense to use the fines, the fine gravel with that. There's because of the elevation, as well as that there was reduced amount of possible erosion that's caused from that. We've actually had to pave with asphalt many parts of our Perkiomen Trail because of erosion issues. But for this trail, we think it will be a mix, I think, of the two. We've been also experimenting on our other trails with a different kind of mix that sort of has the best of both worlds. It's very compacted and solid and flat, but has that, it can have it gives one a sense of a more rural trail as well at the same time. But I think there will be opportunities to use both on this trail.
Oh, it will be both, okay.
On this section too,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, and the other issue is with all the flooding that happens in this particular corridor, maintenance is a little bit easier for the county when it's a paved trail.
Got you.
Again, we've seen from PERT that they've been fighting the floodwaters the last several years, and they were supportive of paving it just to kind of cut down on the maintenance. And they're also concerned about erosion getting into the creek, of the crushed stone and the soil getting into the creek. So sort of a compromise. I know some folks like the more rural look and the more woodsy feel of the crushed stone, but at the same time, it's a burden on the owners of the trail. So, and it makes it a little more accessible for other users, mom with her carriage and folks in wheelchairs and, things like that, have a little bit easier time on the pavement.
Got you. And it sounds like you've already worked out a lot with the YMCA.
Yeah, they've been real supportive. We've had a number of meetings with them. We actually got an email from them concurring with all our changes. Again,
That's great to hear. It seems like they're an important part of this.
They are, definitely. And again, helping with the parking is big. we know that this is going to draw folks here and they're going to want a place to park. So I think it's a win-win. I mean, I don't know, I'm not an expert on the Wise parking lot, but it do seem to have a lot of spaces there. So I would hope that it would work out well for both uses.
Good. Let's see what else. So for the part of the trail, I know that's not what we're discussing tonight, but the part that goes from the promenade to Eastern Road, so it looks like that's now planned to go south of the turnpike, is that right? And not, I'm asking because I was wondering about the Willow Point Apartments, if you're working with them or on anything, but it seems like it's going to be the other side of the turnpike now.
Well, as per the feasibility study, it was recommended to go along, I think it's Computer.
Yeah.
So I think because official design hasn't begun yet, we still anticipate it to be on the north side, at least.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
couldn't tell for sure from the picture. So,
okay, yes, yeah. So that was, and there's actually a lot of development plans by BET are told on the other side, on the Upper Dublin side, which will actually impact a lot of that alignment as well.
Got you.
Because we may, depending upon how the land development susses out, it might be that they develop a number of feet of it.
Okay.
So we're not really sure yet. But
Yeah,
but
got
so
you.
our original plan is that it sort of runs along Computer Road, and then it does connect to the apartment complex that you're referring.
yeah, so the reason that I brought it up is they are planning to build another apartment building adjacent to the current development.
Oh, well, hopefully they'll continue the trail there on too.
Well, yeah, so we have brought it up to them when they came in for conditional use and just wanted to make sure that everybody works together on that.
Great.
Appreciate your cooperation.
I think I had one more question. Oh, yes. The other question was, so you probably know that Upper Moreland Township is trying to work on the connection from the Powerline Trail to Maryland Road. And the township already has a grant to cover the construction, but the design actually ended up being a lot more expensive than we thought it would be. So didn't know if you have, I know Pat has some ideas, but if you have any other ideas for funding a portion of that design cost, that'd be great to hear.
There might be a few options on the table. I could probably do some research on that, but yeah, I know that there's state grants that we've applied for in the past, and also the Regional Trails Program, and that has a more intermittent type of cycle, but that would be the perfect type of application, I think, design money specifically for a circuit trail, which is what that is. So,
Thank you. Other commissioners?
I just, more of a question for Pat. That little corner piece at Creek Road and Davisville Road, aren't we building a walkway across there?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I missed the
Creek
question.
Road and Davisville Road, just up from the intersection. We're building a pathway across the corner there.
Creek Road and Davisville?
Oh, Turwood in Davisville?
Turwood and Davisville.
Okay, right.
Yeah, we're making a sidewalk improvement on the south side, what would it be, southeastern side. Yeah, so we're continuing a sidewalk that's on Turwood, and it'll curve around onto Davisville. I can share that information.
Yeah, help even more people get to that trail.
That'll get them out to Pennypack Road.
Yes.
oh,
Sorry about my confusion.
Anybody else? Pat?
Yeah,
Yep.
just a couple questions. Can you share with the board what a time frame might be to finish sections A, B, and C? I know you're projecting.
Sure. So the sections A and B would follow the PennDOT process, which tends to take a little longer, but their assistance is invaluable in that process. So I expect design to at least take 2 to possibly 3 years, and then acquisition, like right-of-way acquisition, is in there too. Construction, well, we're looking at least 6 to 8 years, I think, from today. I think conservatively. So
Our grant is through with PennDOT as well for our section of the trail. Another question on parking, if I may. So the YMCA possibly has about 20 spots, and there's parking on Byberry Road currently. a number of folks park at Masons Mill Park to use this trail. That's a bit dangerous because the bridge doesn't allow for pedestrians. Are we going to have appropriate signage, or is there anything we can do along that bridge on Masons Mill? Because people will park at Masons Mill Park and walk on Masons Mill Road to get to this trail.
That's a good question. We can look into that.
I don't think the bridge is very pedestrian friendly.
No, actually, for the selection process for the consultant for this project, we had you may remember, we had a site visit of all the possible consultants who might apply, and then yes, many of them did park at Masonsville, and many of them walk along the bridge, signifying that was still a remaining issue.
You know, and the concern is, even though the parking that's there now is informal and probably is inappropriate, and if you take away those 4 or 5 spots, folks are going to park at Masons Mill. So just if you can take a look at that and see if there's any resolution to that issue, that would be great.
We're also looking at, especially at the corner, we're investigating signage possibly in coordination with the township at the beginning of Pennypack Road, you know, so that to prevent people from going down to the end of Pennypack Road and then realizing there's no parking, is to create a sign or a system of signage that directs people to the Y, to the designated parking, to prevent cars unnecessarily going down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone from the public?
Just a couple of things. Are you working with PERT on the amount of impervious surface you're adding? Okay. And I just wanted to reiterate that you're taking away that parking there on Masons Mill, and I'm one of those people who park there, and so now I do have to park somewhere else and walk on that narrow, dangerous bridge, and I don't like it. So you really need to do something about that.
No, I can appreciate that. And, you know, we actually did try to assess where that parking sort of existed, and we never found any plans or any, it just sort of evolved over time. We are actually also talking to Lord's New Church with potential parking opportunities. We have been, as a part of this, they're one of the properties from which we would need an easement. And they are very open and excited about the trail and have offered, at least informally, us to allow to park there to do our investigations there. But we have also been talking with them about potential shared parking opportunities there as well.
Good. Anybody else? So just going through this piece gives us an idea of how much work these trails are, and I'm so impressed with how much the county has gotten done. It's very exciting.
Great,
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, public comments for non-agenda items. Okay, next, somebody want to make a motion to approve the treasurer's activity report?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Okay, any comments, commissioners or public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's accepted. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes
I'll make a motion.
for December 2nd, 2024? Is there a second? You were the second? Okay. Any comments, commissioners or the public? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? That's approved. Next, we'll go through committee recommendations. First is the Community Development Committee. Okay.
I'm on the wrong screen. Okay. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so the committee recommends to the Board of Commissioners to take the following action. Code enforcement. Oh, go to all? Yeah.
Nothing, huh?
There's no
Right,
action
nothing.
under code enforcement.
Yeah. Land development subdivision applications.
Nothing?
There, in your packet, there's 1, 2, 3, land develop sub,
Or zone, that's zoning
oh,
hearing
zoning,
board,
I'm
right?
sorry. I'm sorry, I'm getting it.
So let's go to the zoning hearing board meeting for January 9th. That's attached in the meeting minutes. And then any other items? So those are our recommendations from the community development.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Public Health and Safety Committee. That is, who is that now?
This is me. Yeah, we have nothing to offer tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Next, Finance and Administration Committee.
Okay, the committee recommends to take action on the following. Motion to approve Resolution R 2025-1, the reappointment of Dan Fannin on the Zoning Hearing Board to serve a 5-year term expiring December 31st, 2029.
Thank you, Ben. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments from commissioners or the public? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's passed.
Okay, and the list of bills payable, general fund checks, beginning with check number 143023, ending with check number 143279, for a total of $3,054,457.18. Escrow fund checks beginning with check number 9852, ending with check number 9869, for a total of $14,596.38. And liquid fuel fund checks beginning with check number 3168, ending 3170, for a total of $27,067.90.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, commissioners or public? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? They're approved? And no other items, right?
Oh, yeah.
And no,
other items.
and no new business? Okay, thank you. Next up is the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Parks and Recreation Committee. The committee recommends the Board of Commissioners take action on the following. Motion to approve Resolution R 2025-2, setting the security deposit and fee change of Basins Mill Park Pavilions rental. And that information is on the attachments.
Thank you. Second, okay. So we discussed this at the last meeting, and approved it. We're just doing a resolution for it.
Just a comment, if I may. The pavilion fees, there's a few fees in the Parks and Recreation Department that are set by the Board of Commissioners. They used to be through ordinance. That's changed. They're through resolution. The pavilion fees is one of them that requires a resolution to be changed. I think it's a 25% increase from previous fees. And for the first time, there's going to be a security deposit required for pavilion rentals. Some of our visitors haven't kept the pavilions in the condition which they rented them in the morning or the afternoon. So there's a security deposit activity associated with that now.
Sounds good.
And the board, you're correct, the board did approve the fees. We just didn't do it via resolution.
Okay. Any commissioner or public comments? Okay. All in favor of that resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Resolution passes. That's it for Parks and Recreation, right? Okay. Are there any other commissioner comments? Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you.